Ashley, welcome on back to my channel. So it is time. We are doing another palette ranking. But before we get started, let me go ahead and introduce myself. If you are new to this channel, welcome. And if you're an oldie but goodie, welcome on back. My name is Ashley. I have a doctorate in pharmacy and I love makeup. So that's how I go by Dr. Ash and her makeup. But please just call me Ash or Ashley. And eyeshadow really is my jam. Eyeshadow is one of my favorite subjects to talk about. And like I just mentioned before, we are doing a palette ranking. So this is basically my version of coming back with a full thoughts review, final thoughts. I've been using these palettes off camera, let you know, is it worth it? Should you skip it? So that's why I like to do these style of videos. Now, today I only have 4 palettes and really all 4 are good, so you just kind of got to put them someplace, and I'm going to let you know which ones I like the best and which ones, you know, or really, like I just said, I like all of them. So okay, so let's go ahead and get started because it's really not going to be that long. Like I said, I only have 4 palettes to talk about. So the first palette that I'm talking about that's coming in last place, but it's really not a bad palette. It's just kind of like one of those things like, I like a couple of the other ones a little bit better. And this is Nomez Cosmetics America's Parks palette. Now this palette is just stinking cute. I love the packaging. I love how it just has all the park themes on it. And when you open up, like the color story is absolutely gorgeous. I just have been loving this palette. I've had so much fun playing with it. The color story is amazing. Like I just mentioned, you can get so many different looks. You have your neutrals, you got your brights, you got your greens, you have some grungy shades, and it's just such a thought out palette. There we go. The shimmers are here are absolutely stunning and they perform so well. So one of the surprise shades for me was, and I don't know the name because I can't see the names, and that was one of my complaints about this palette when I did 3 looks with it. Okay, but this shade right here is an absolute stunner because it has kind of like a pink shift to it, and I really wasn't expecting that out of this particular yellow shade. I mean, it has grape slip to it. The shadows are long lasting. The mattes are very blendable. You have enough mattes to create all the looks you need. You got a brown, you have kind of like that rusty tone that like symbolizes, you know, America's parks, you know, and then you also have like just really good different types of shimmers. You know, I see a lot of different quads. I see just so many different looks. And I really enjoy this palette. I feel like this is one of the best palettes that Nomad has put out. I like this one second. The first one that I like the most is the Fire and Ice palette. But I have been loving this and I've had so much fun playing with it. So coming in 3rd place, I have Voyeuristic Vixen, okay? And I feel like she has more. Okay, so it's the Venus and Florence Luxe Quad Voyeuristic Vixen, and this palette or this little quad by Mama Pat is absolutely gorgeous. It has a beautiful shifty shade in here which is called Rose Fire Nectar, which is this one right here, and it has a beautiful shift. It is so sparkly. And I wouldn't say it's like the most unique shade. Like we've had shades like this across the indie brands, but this shade is absolutely stunning. The whole palette is absolutely stunning. You can like kind of, you know, put this on to go out on the night of the town, or you can kind of just do a daytime look. And I really enjoy this particular shade right here. This is called After Dusk. This particular matte shade is absolutely stunning and gorgeous. It is a creamy matte formula and it blends out like a dream. So I am not a person that usually does an all matte look. I'm not usually a person that does like just all brown looks. And I watch Andrea Renee a lot, and she loves brown eyeshadow. So I was like, let me just try a brown eyeshadow. And this one was so stunning. It had kind of like a hint of purple, so it just really made my eyes pop. It gave such a great smoke without trying too hard. And I was just like trying to pop a picture in right here so you can see what I'm talking about. But it was absolutely stunning. The formula in here of all 4 shades is really great. You know, it's Mother Pat, so you can't really expect less with quality as far as performance with her shades. And I mean, this Rose Fire, I mean, you can't go wrong with it. It is simply stunning, and the shift on it is so beautiful and foily. But I would say that if you're a person that likes to do your base makeup first, I would go definitely ahead and do your eyes first and then go ahead and do your face, because you will get quite a bit of fallout with, you know, at least these 2 shades for sure. But overall, I'm really happy with the performance of this quad. This quad is absolutely stunning. I feel like it's neutral, but with a pop, so I'm getting something with it. I am not really big on neutrals, but I love like neutrals that have a pop. So as long as it has something interesting to it, I'm all for it. So coming in at number 2 is actually the palette I had on my eyes, and it was such a hard debate between this palette and the other palette that I'm going to talk about next. But this palette right here is the Adept Cosmetics Kodane palette. Like, oh my gosh. Like, this palette is so beautiful. It is just a grungy dream, and I love it so. These are the beautiful shades. There's only 2 mattes in this particular palette, which are right here. You did have the option to change the mattes with this particular palette, but I decided not to. These palettes go so fast, and I think she just kind of doubts how much hype some of these palettes have, but I just love the formula. Now, the only thing I don't like about this particular palette is that ACI 28 and ACI 29, these 2 little blue shades right here, they look very similar. When you swatch them, one has more of a silvery tone, which is the ACI 28, there we go, and the other one's a little bit more blue. But on the eyes, you can't tell the difference. They look like the same shade. So I wish it was just something else there, but I really love my favorite shade. It's the one I have on the inner corner. Like, oh my God, this ACI 27 right here is just so beautiful. It is so smooth. It lays down so well. I did not need to use glitter glue in order to make these shadows pop like this. I actually just went in with a synthetic brush, which was my BK Beauty 203. Had no problem applying these shadows. I am really loving the color story of this palette. It is so unique. It is so different, and you just get something kind of unexpected. And of course, you can just go ahead, if you don't want to use the pink or the teal, or you want to kind of base your look to be a little bit more neutral, you can always bring in a different color matte. Or I've also found that, like, you know, I've used ACI 27. It blends out like an all over, you know, eye look, and it's beautiful by itself without anything else. So I just really thoroughly enjoy this palette. I know she has done another pre-order for this palette because it is just wildly popular. I think this one she had a lot more units for, so the launch was a lot more smoother. But I really enjoy this palette. I enjoy the quality of it, and it's just so fun. It doesn't really scream summer or spring when the palette released, but I can definitely see myself getting a whole lot more use out of it in the fall and winter. But this palette is just so stunning and so gorgeous. I just love it so much. And I love how compact it is also. So coming in at number 1, and I have just really enjoyed this palette. I'm just like, I'm so happy with my decision. And this is the Sydney Grace On the Horizon palette in Deep. Okay, so this is the collection with Sydney Grace and Temptalia. Look how gorgeous this one is. And this is the one that was kind of like in memorial to her puppy that just passed, Magellan. And then when you open it up, you get the same artwork on the palette as you do the sleeve. I like how it has a sleeve. I think that's very sleek. I have been playing with this palette for a while off camera. I did just do a video recently of this palette, but the shimmers are so gorgeous. I mean, when you pull out this palette, you're just reminded of why Sydney Grace is just so great. They're so consistent. And I really like how they've been doing deep and light versions of palettes because it makes a difference as far as the mattes. You know, you're still getting the same shimmers, you're still getting the same color tones, but for people who want extra pigmentation, whether you're light skin or deep skin, you know, it just really makes the difference. You can kind of curate it. I like how you can curate if you want it light and deep between the bundle. I decided to just get one palette. I did think that all the palettes look too similar together, especially this one and it wasn't a quintessence. I can't think of the other name, but two of them look very much alike. And I was just like, I just can't even justify this. I think the price point was great. This is also going to be on sale during the Christmas and July sale, but you get so many different color stories within this. I like how it's cool tone. I like how it's a little bit more warm tone in some regards. I also think that you kind of have two distinct 6-pan palettes. I like that you have so many different quads. I love that it has a navy blue matte. I think it's really worth it. The formula is perfection. It blends out like a dream. The shimmers are top quality. Now these are not like your wet shimmers, but these are like your more ultra foiled shimmers, especially like Lunar Illumination, Phoenix Awakenings up here, also Flying High, Earthbound, Heart Dog, and even these shimmers you can kind of blend them out into the crease. Now Magellan's Light is more of like a topper shade in nature. But Temptalia did such a great job, and I love how this palette is curated. It was definitely my favorite out of the three, and I'm just so glad that I picked this up. And I've been having the greatest time playing with these shades. I think this color story is just so interesting, and it's a little bit different from what's been coming out as of lately, even though it is a celestial themed palette, and it's been a lot of space palettes lately as of this year. So those are like my mini reviews of whether I think these palettes were worth it. Do I enjoy it? So all four of these palettes that I had to talk about today, I definitely enjoyed them. I think they are worth the purchase if you were looking at them. I didn't find anything wrong with them. It's just like me ranking them like America's Park. It kind of got to go somewhere, and somebody's got to be number one. But I feel like all of these are just really great quality palettes, especially also this one. If you're in the market for duochromes, a little different type of duochromes, I think that this one is definitely worth it, because a lot of times we get duochromes with the purples. We don't get so much dark and grungy duochromes. So I feel like it's just a different take. So I really do enjoy this. Like I said, these two were like, they were battling for real. But I just really think that these four palettes that I have tried out recently have just been such great additions to my collection. So I just wanted to come on and let you guys know how I was still liking the palettes and my final thoughts on the palettes. So everything has been good thus far. So if you could just let me know down in the comments what palettes you have been enjoying, or if you picked up any of these that I mentioned today, just let me know down below. Give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, because you know I would love to have you here in my little makeup family. And with that being said, you already know what time it is. It's time for the chair dance. Chair dance. Hey, 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 chair dance. Chair dance. Chair dance. Chair dance. Chair dance. All right, y'all. Bye.